Okay, we're getting live in just a minute here, ladies and gentlemen, so stay tuned and bear with us. We're talking about pain today and how pain is the answer to what you're looking for, believe it or not. So stay tuned. Here we go. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Kevin Jarina, and tonight it's 7 o'clock Monday night, and we're talking transformations. So stay tuned. We're going to be hopping right into the deeper conversation in just a moment. Wanting to make sure I'm coming in loud and clear. I got the chat up, so say hello. I'm going to drop a link to the free gift. The free gift is it's called an Introduction to Decode Your Pain. I wrote this book a few years ago. And I wanted to give a gift so people could get a taste of what I'm offering about how to understand the connections between our mind and our body. And people talk about mind and body, and mind-body medicine, mind-body healing, body-mind, both ways. What does that mean? How do we work with it? How do we interpret those signals? And what is the importance of those signals? And that's the nature of the book, Decode Your Pain. And in the free gift, which I just dropped a link, is an introduction to Decode Your Pain. You can get that right there at drkevintransformations.com, or if you go to drkeving.com, well, then you can get that access as well. Now, you may see this on top of my head, and I don't know about you, for those that are spending more time online, screen time on your phone, Zoom has been out the yin-yang here. Go to drkeving.com, go to the shop section, and you want to get one of the sunglasses here by Raw Optics. See that right here? They have some of the best glasses I've ever come across, and I've been recommended by other professionals that are into neurology and brain health. And let's take a look. They have specials going still from the holiday. I believe is buy a second pair, get $45 off on a second pair, free shipping. Raw Optics. Look, I recommend things that I use because I'm on a computer more now than ever. And my eyes have been feeling it. I don't know about you, but the eye strain is real. They have day glasses and night glasses. And another product I highly recommend to all my patients is water purification. Again, I have that on my website. You go to drkeving.com. You get access to the shop section. And I have two companies I've worked with. I have a desktop from Big Berkey, and I use the ProPure, now called Pro 1, but I have the shower filter. And for those that are interested in whole house filters, ProPure is the one you want to go to. And it's critical to get clean water. The human body is mostly water. There's an argument to be said on a very high percentage to above 50%. So more than ever, we are made of water. Life is water. And there's so much I could say about that, but we're going to keep it reined in for tonight. So that is a little bit about the things that I support for my body, and I promote to all my patients and anyone who's watching to secure and improve the quality of how you're interacting with life. And the more stress and strain that we have, the more breakdown goes on. And if we don't do things to, enhance ourselves, then we get stuck with the short end of the stick, as they say. So welcome. Let's dive into material. And we have what's called transformations. This is Monday nights. And I have a question for you tonight. Let's dive into that. So it's more of a thought process here. Healing is based on these simple truths. Now the question is, do you agree or disagree? All right. Number one here, the body is self-healing and self-regulating. Do you agree or disagree? If the body is self-healing and self-regulating. Let me take you on a thought here for a second. All right, self-healing. But here's the example. If you cut yourself or if a corpse is cut. The same type of knife, the same depth, the same intensity. What happens if you cut yourself versus cutting a corpse? That's right. There's something different. You heal, the corpse does not. That's what I mean by self-healing, self-regulating. The human body, living bodies, okay? Living beings, self-regulating. Let's define self-regulating. Think about the heart, the liver, the kidneys. They all are functioning. They're all being regulated without your conscious control. Yes, we can have some influence over these things. Correct. However, when you're sleeping, when you're focused on a project, when you're in a sporting event, those things are happening automatically. You're just performing. You're being in the moment, present. The rest of you is operating all on its own in perfect relationship, or as optimal relationship as it can gather to respond to the environment that you're placing yourself in. Let's continue a little bit more here, all right? So now the purpose of the brain and nervous system is to control and coordinate the functions of all the cells, tissues, and organs in the body, and to adapt the organism to its environment. Do you agree or disagree with that? So the question then becomes, is there anything the nervous system does not regulate? The answer is no. No. We literally live our lives through our nervous system. And if there's interference to our nervous system, there's a term for that. It's called subluxation. Well, then your body cannot function at full capacity. Let me just do my corrections right there, right now. And is no longer self-healing or self-regulating at 100% ability. Can you get on board with that? Can you see that? Does that make sense to you? If not, that's okay. Now the question, the thought, as we're going down this line of thinking here, the longer interference is present to the nerve system, the more devastating the effects on the health and well-being of the individual. Now, the interference, remember, is termed subluxation. It's a multiple syllable word, subluxation. However, it's a term for interference. Right? The longer it is present, the worse the symptoms get. So my job is to locate, analyze, and release subluxations and their causes, which allow you to regain your self-healing and self-regulating properties, thereby allowing you to enjoy optimal health, well-being, longevity, and quality of life. So here's a problem now. Here's the problem. What's the cause of subluxation? What's the cause of that interference? Now the answer, well, is stress. There's physical stress. I'll make that bigger for next time. Biochemical stress and mental emotional stress, okay? So remember, this nervous system is the central component here. My role is to release interference or correct subluxation, and then show you ways not to recreate the problems over and over again. So we're gonna be diving into this thought about pain. And I wrote the book Decode Your Pain a few years ago. And these are people that have dived in and read the material and been benefited. I know each of these people personally. Now the concept here is everything, because our concepts bring about our beliefs, our perceptions, our presumptions, our expectations, our choices, our decisions, our preferences, our responses, and therefore our consequences are all tied in to how we see things. So if pain is looked at as a bad thing, if the perception is it's a bad thing, then, well, of course, what most and the majority of people do to handle their pain, numb it, cut it out, get away from it, distract themselves from it, well, that becomes a sensible answer. But bear with me. If pain is a good thing, if pain can become, if you can shift that story to being an indicator, then pain becomes transformative. Pain becomes something that is useful. Pain becomes something that can help you become more powerful in your own life. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the concept that I'm presenting to you today. That if you can see the way, if you can see that, then how you see the world, your beliefs, your perceptions, what you expect of the world, what you're expecting yourself, the choices that you make, the things that you enjoy, it becomes a different story. And this is the point, because many of us have been so trapped into the paradigm, to the belief system that pain we need to take it away. We need to get rid of it. We need to distract ourselves from it. Now, let's get real here for a second. Pain does not feel good. Everyone does everything they can to get away from it. We have the pain pleasure pathways. We move towards things that are enjoyable, the carrot in certain examples, and we move away from problems and pain, the stick. However, that's not the whole story. And when it comes to healing, personal growth, personal transformation, if there's something in your life you just don't like, pain is where the answers are laying, waiting for you to find that golden nugget in there, that silver lining in there. Well, let's talk about that for a few moments, okay? So every week I pull... Let me check in with you before I dive too far forward. How are we doing so far? How's the volume coming in? Where are you in the world? Actually, make that comment in the chat. I know wherever you are. I'm in New Jersey here, close to Philadelphia. I'm going to type that in. I'm in New Jersey. Where are you? And I love to find out where people come from. I've had people come on from around the world, and that's so delightful for me. But we're getting into the conversation now of how to begin to interpret, what does pain mean? What is the metaphorical meaning? And yes, there is literal meaning too. There's going to be a local event. There's going to be something that has happened to you in that area. And then there's a meaning. There's a deeper context. There's a physical and there's a metaphysical. There's a three-dimensional and an other dimensional component to every situation. You may have heard the term as above, so below. As within, so without. As I choose, so I ask. There's different components and layers to what it is to be a human being. And hence, you can see right there, the logo is the flower of life. It has so much meaning. All the reality of life can be discussed by a deep dive conversation of what that logo stands for. And I submit humbly to Drumbolo Melchizedek. In fact, hold on, let me grab it real quick. I think it's right there. He wrote this book, Living in the Heart. Drumbolo Melchizedek. I recommend this author for a lot of reasons. He wrote the seminal information about sacred geometry, about the nature of how the divine is in nature. The divine is in with you. We can see all of this in math. In fact, one of my favorite, I do have a slide from here. One of my favorite podcasts, people to dive in with. I think I have them on here. No, I do. His name is Marty Leeds. Marty Leeds, I believe his channel is called Marty Leeds Live. He's a mathematician. He goes into the meanings between words and numbers. He finds perfection in the bones and the hands. The golden mean. All these different mathematic principles are wired into the human body, human consciousness, and nature itself. Quite exciting material. So let me pull up what I got a little bit more for you here. I'm going to pull up the book now, Decode Your Pain, and we're on page 17. We're going to be looking at chapter 1 tonight. Symptoms are the story. And again, this is in the full book. So if you go to drkevintransformations.com, you get access to the introduction for free. That will, if you do sign up for that, you'll be dumped out into another page where you have an offer to purchase the book for, I believe, under $10. In fact, that you can be fed. You can get fed for a lifetime with this material. I'm currently teaching private coaching using this as one of the steps in the total coaching program. And I hold off on that till the end here. But nonetheless, let's go back to the book. We are in chapter 1. Symptoms are the story. Let's read. We all get sensations in our body from time to time. Some of them positive, some of them painful, some of them annoying, some of them downright disconcerting. The little signals we get are called symptoms. Symptoms are the number one reason that people seek help and advice for any type of health practitioner. The number one reason that people come into my office to see me. You see, symptoms are the generating force for action. And whether it's physical pain, mental, emotional pain, chemical, nutritional pain, or life pain, it drives us. How much you tolerate ultimately gets to a point, and then we got to take action. We're not tolerating anymore. We've had enough. I've had a number of patients say that to me recently. I've had enough of my personal circumstances. I have to take action. Well, they had enough pain. They had enough problems. They couldn't bear the status quo anymore. So the symptoms can represent any type of problem. For example, an illness in the body or problems with a particular organ, like your intestines or heart, can tell us that there's inflammation in a joint or something is out of alignment. They alert us to when we're overdoing it, and they get our attention so that we are doing something about it. Ultimately, they cause us to change our course, our actions, and possibly the shape of our lives. See, symptoms are important. Without pain, without problems, we don't change. In fact, pain is a requirement for growth. There's a quote that's been coming through my class the last couple of weeks. Coach Ryan, he talks about strength is developed through struggle. Well, think about a plant that is a seed. Once it gets the water and the proper light, it grows, but it has to struggle. In fact, I've come across the research that talks about things that hatch from eggs. If you facilitate the hatching, the youngling, that whether it's chicken or whatever it may be, is not as strong as if it had to struggle. Its immune system isn't as strong. Its physical strength isn't as strong. I look at my own life. I grew up in a very unique era, but kind of between eras, where I was brought into a lot of this tech new age tech world, and I was still in the analog world. I had to memorize phone numbers and things like that when I was younger, not because of having to, because there was no cell phone at the time, at least publicly available. That being said, without struggle, there wasn't strength. My brain power for remembering things isn't as good now as it was once before. I feel like the general nature of having to memorize numbers and addresses and things like this strengthened me for certain things. And I had a lot of sports growing up, and people that had to work at it harder to get better oftentimes did better. Some people that were born naturally gifted coasted for a while, and they got to a certain point because they had stopped trying, their skill sets, their natural abilities didn't matter anymore. Some of the individuals that had to put the hard yards in, as they say, they put the work, the effort, the work, had to get their mind right, had to get their food right. That's who excelled later on in their careers. So let's continue. Strength happens because of struggle. So when it comes to physical pain, there's purpose in it. So oftentimes physical symptoms are located at particular points in the body, possibly a certain body part, joint, or in a particular organ, and they relate to the emotional states. Now I'm going to pull up a chart, and we're going to talk about, because I mentioned in the beginning of this chapter, the heart. And I'm combining known neurology and traditional Chinese medicine. I'm going to show you an image here. It has to do with called, this one's, I pulled the central meridian. I wanted the heart meridian, excuse me, if I have. Yeah, here it is. The heart meridian. Now we can see, let's get to the back first. If you type in, just go to any type of internet browser search, and we're going to type in, I'm going to type in and I'll show you in a second, neurologic regulation of the heart. About this, let's find it. I'll do an image. See if that gives us a nice. Maybe I use too many big words. All right, here's a good picture. Good enough. Got some images here, and we're seeing an image of the heart. I don't know what this is exactly. It's let's just do. I'm not gonna do an official. Let's do it like a Pinterest one here. So you're seeing some funny images here. Everyone knows the classic image of the heart, the bottom right image, and you can see that it has these two yellow lines going to this weird looking shape. One looks like a Halloween mask up top, and the picture in the middle looks like a circle with a butterfly in the middle. And this is part of your it's part of your spinal cord. And signals go up and signals go down. And what this image doesn't show is that it goes up to the brain. And so this component was called the vagus nerve, goes to the heart, and there's components that go back up to the brain and spinal cord. There's a better image in that. There's a lot of different nerves that interconnect. This one's a little more complete. But we know the brain and the heart are interconnected. And yes, the brain has its own independent nervous system within, but it's constantly checking in with the brain. And you can see that there's different components. There's big concepts like the cerebellum, the hypothalamus, the medulla, spinal cord, and all these different terms that describe different features of how the brain and the heart are connected. But when we get to traditional Chinese medicine, it takes into account those interconnections. So we have the heart meridian, and you can see in the middle here. Yeah, you can see that. Maybe you can't. Let's see if I can draw a little something on this. Maybe not. Nah, it's not going to work. I'll let it go for now. But in essence, you can see these two dots at the shoulder. Here's the image of the body with the head and the back. And you can see the hips in blue. And you see the one shoulder blade in red. And there's two dots. Let's see if we can zoom in for you at least. And these two dots right at the top of the back, T2, T3. This is an area, as well as a couple areas above and below it, that regulate the heart. And this muscle right here, called the subscapularis, is related to the heart itself as well. And then in here, we also have information that shows that's not going to be there. It's going to be this one right here. There's heart questions. So these questions are when I test the human body and bring up these questions for people. If these questions cause a weakness in the human body, I know that there's an active emotional state affecting the patient. And then if we can, as we help unwire that emotional state, this is not talk therapy. This is not a psychology. This is straight neurology, functional neurology. There is a component where the human body, this called the fun thing I say to people is called this. The issues are in the tissues. We know through different research, and Candace Pert, she's the one who identified the opioid receptor back in the 70s. She did this seminal work and all this connection between the brain and the body. In fact, because of her work, a whole new science was developed called psychoneuroimmunology. I was at the pause with that for a moment. Psychoneuroimmunology. There's a whole research journal, a whole new science that has launched because of that, maybe 30 years ago. And we now have full knowledge that every system of the body is interconnected, and one change in one system affects a change in another system. Nothing is independent of itself. A grand seesaw effect. Everything's affecting everything. And when we have an emotional state, just like body language, we express it outwardly. Now, people can learn to regulate that differently. People can learn to be more of a business kind of mind where they don't show their emotions, and some people are very expressive in their emotions, and we can see it very easily in children. They wear their emotions on their sleeve, as they say. I can see in my daughter when she's happy, when she's upset, when she's frustrated. Even if I can't hear a word from her, I don't hear a sound, you can see it in her body language. This is true for everybody. And our human body, just like a lie detector test, it demonstrates with features that you cannot regulate. Just like sweating, just like heartbeat, just like spleen activity, liver activity. These things are automatically occurring. So when there's a thought going on in your mind, there's a test that can be done to determine if it's affecting you negatively or not. Just like with physical stuff, with nutritional stuff, with chemicals, all this can be deciphered by your body's response to the addition of these stressors in your personal environment. In fact, there's a great image I'd love to share. Here it is. Let me give you the full view. Our environment impacts our reality. And the longer we're in a certain environment, the more it impacts our reality. This is called epigenetics. We're getting close to wrapping it up here. I wanted to point out that our pain is teaching us things. It's showing us what to do and how to go about helping it. And in the back of the book, and it's also included in the free gift, the Introduction to Decode Your Pain, is the appendix. And this is a foundational component of knowledge. It's not complete. There's a lot more detail that can be had and understood. So in the back of the free introduction, it's a gift, and all you need to go to is drkevintransformations.com. The link is not scrolling. You can also get to it on drkeving.com. Let me turn that on for everybody. And in the back of the book and in the back of the free gift manual that's downloaded there, you can look at the body part, the potential symbolism, and the emotional feelings. For example, the head, eyes, ears, nose, throat, mouth. These are perceptions. How are we perceiving things? If there's an area that's affecting you negatively, there's a perception concern. Oftentimes in the neck, we have stubbornness or inflexibility as a general emotion or feeling. And of course, there's different ways of determining the iteration that you're experiencing. However, this gets you started. Throat, for example, is communication, speaking. So what did you say? What didn't you say? What did you say that you wish you didn't say? What did you want to have said? There's lots of different ways of going about looking at the potential interpretation if I have a throat issue going on. And for those of you saying, well, what about if someone like caught me in the throat, or if I developed a cold or a sickness? Well, yes, but this still applies. The more you investigate the nature of why things are occurring, the more you get to the similar points I'm describing here, and it's time tested. I'm not the first person to talk about this, and definitely am not the last. In fact, it's expanding and gaining momentum as we learn the metaphorical way in which our subconscious mind relates into our physical reality. For additional evidence, for additional proof, stay tuned. Come back here next Monday night, 7 p.m. Get an access to and copy of the book, Decode Your Pain. In fact, I am happy to refer you to any of the reference material that I find that I have. In fact, a lot of that is on my webpage, drkeving.com. And specifically, and I'll find out where that is for you while I got you here live. Go back, I'll pull it up. I want to know the exact section so I don't misrepresent. In fact, so you go to the webpage and you go to the About section. Services, let's see. Yeah, Meet Dr. Kevin. You go there and you scroll all the way to the bottom, and that's not where it is. It tells a little bit of my story about what things I've taken, things I've done. See what it goes to. Resources. Research resources, that's what we want. And in the research resources, lots of references for things I've studied, things I shared, the concepts, and where to get this material is all right there. Like I said, I'm not, I didn't come up with some of these concepts. I put them together to make unique connections and unique combinations for people's personal transformation, physical, mental, emotional, chemical, nutritional, and otherwise. So stay tuned next Monday night. 7 p.m. We'll be back talking more about the mind body connections and personal transformation. And if you really want to dive in tonight at just about a half hour, we're going live with the Monday night 8 p.m. Eastern time. We go live with what's called Winning in Every Situation. And this is something I'm inviting you to right now. I dropped that link right there in the chat. And this is where we learn the natural laws and how to take them and put them into your personal, put them to use for your personal manifestation ability. It's called Winning in Every Situation. Check it out. Come join us. We're going live in a few minutes. We're going into the topic of initiative and leadership tonight, and it's all about learning to use natural laws in your favor to bring about a desired result. If it's congruent with your heart, I may add. So blessings, best regard. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Get access to drkeving.com. Get a copy of the book. Get a free copy of the manual, an introduction to that book, Decode Your Pain, and dive in. I have lots of resources, lots of things to help you get better. And you may be wondering, why do I do this? Well, passing it forward. I rise by raising others. That's the rising tide principle that I live life by, and I do it in better and better ways each and every day. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and I want to say a big shout out to those of you on the 4 Foundations group. Keep doing the work. Be a little bit every day. They're powerful things that will help you continue to navigate the stormy waters of today's life and living environment. Blessings and best regards, everybody. Have a blessed evening.
Hello, welcome. I'm Dr. Kevin Jr. This is the first introductory video in becoming an entrepreneur. Yes.